Basically, good looks and good times are a mummery put on for a time. All will suffer, all will die. All must struggle. You must accept the fact that life is a struggle of a kind, an ordeal, a discipline. And you can either just endure it, suffer it, and contribute to the suffering by patterning yourself for the worst, or you can positively embrace life as an ordeal in the sense of making it about realization and about doing what is relevant to realization. Relevant to realization in your own apparent case, relevant to realization in the case of others. Relative to the well-being of all. But not merely in physical and social terms. Ultimately, it is not possible to prevent death and suffering. There are certain modifications of it, certain things that can be avoided for a time. The edge of it can be softened. The disposition can be changed. Some conditions can be lightened, even eliminated, some negative conditions, through certain doings or changes of action or help. Still not about utopia. So when it comes time for death, you're not going to feel good, you see. It's coming. So you can't just goof the life, you see. That's not what it's about. Enter into the profundity, accept the tapas of life as an ordeal in truth, rather than the mere suffering of life as a waste of time. You see? As a mere disintegration event. And then you will be equipped for death when its time comes, whenever that is. You don't know. Somebody mentioned Christopher Reeve, just passed a couple of days ago. Well, he was shown on a video speaking in Chicago a few days ago. He looked as well as he could under the circumstances of his disability, but he essentially didn't look like he was about to die, in other words. And he wasn't expecting it. Although he knew always that he could die any time. Somebody with the condition he was suffering as a result of the accident he had 9 years ago knows that they're always on the verge of the potential of death. In fact, he nearly died many times in that 9 years. So he knew in principle he could pass at any time, but he wasn't particularly expecting it. He wasn't there saying farewell to everybody in Chicago last week. He died of a bed sore. A kind of casual death in a way. But on the other hand, everybody appreciates him because he knew the situation he was in. He purposed his life in a manner that it was overriding his situation and made it endurable because he made it useful. He made it a kind of sacrifice. So he didn't really die tragically. He's very much appreciated even in his passing. It's not that he was enlightened or anything like that, but it's a worthy life. It's something about how to live. You see. Many people, and you all generally speaking, are not in any kind of a similar situation as he. You're more or less healthy and functional. And so you're very capable of making the choice to just look good and have a good time. You see. Indulge yourself and just play the social game and feel something like you're going to live forever, you see. But it's an illusion. When you drop the illusion, then you can become serious about living and not just do some serious service for others in the social domain, or that might be part of what you do. But make your life into sadhana. Divinely purposed, not merely helpfully purposed. And divinely purposed, you can also serve, make compassionate gestures, helpful gestures to others, so that's part of right life too. But it's not the purpose of the life. The divine is the right purpose of the life. The service is a dimension of a divinely purposed life. A divinely purposed life is an ordeal like any other life, but it is made meaningful or divinely relevant by its orientation. The same facts pervade the life. Mortality covers all. You can be defeated by your mortality, or you can transcend it by your use of it. Your life can be a sacrifice in the divine, or a solitary death. If it is a sacrifice in the divine, then you have the key even to how to go through the death process. It is not fun, it is not comfortable. It can be rather easy in some cases, but generally speaking, it's not something merely comfortable or amusing. It's certainly not trivial. But it can be volunteered for, it can be gone through without absolute despair and fear. It can be a surrendering process. In that sense, an easy process. Because you spent the life surrendering. If you spent the life contracting, clinging to self-existence, then death is just an absolute and terrible threat. So, basically unendurable and terrifying. There's inevitable anxiety of a kind in the body, just in the process of dying, but It can be volunteered for, it can be entered into, if you are prepared by how you have lived. If it is a surrendered life, then there is a fundamental means of transcendence in the death process, even though it has its suffering. As simply part of it, just as life altogether does. And ultimately, if the practice becomes perfect, even in the death process, there is the abiding as that which is deathless. Self-abiding as that. The death may still look uncomfortable to the viewer, but it is a profoundly different matter. To the conscious light, that is.